Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Hubbard. I am the Director of Development for Subway Development of Tampa Bay, and this is our video supplement to Site Review 17529. I have on the screen an overhead of the general area with both the proposed location to your right and the objecting location to your left. I've also indicated a couple of major landmarks. We have the University Town Center Mall, which will be opening in October of this year with almost 900,000 square feet of new retail space. In addition, there are 4 major shopping centers located here, 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 and here. This is an adjunct to that, which represent nearly 1.5 million square feet of retail space currently in use. And finally, you have I-75 major interstate splitting the area between the proposed location and the objecting location. To your right here to the north and east, this is the Lakewood Ranch area of Sarasota. I've now pulled up one of the intercept maps showing approximately the same area as the overhead I showed you a moment ago, and the reason is to show you this is that we believe that using the traditional equal size circles, one around the proposed area and one around the objecting store, is not an accurate measure of the market, and it specifically has to do with I-75. As you can see, the proposed location circle encompasses this I-75 interchange right here. So anyone getting on, getting off of I-75 and identifying that as their starting or stopping point will be shown as in the proposed location's trade area. I've returned to the overhead, and as you can see, I-75 has an on-ramp, off-ramp here. This is for exiting on southbound. This is for entering on northbound. Covered here are the same things, getting off for northbound and getting on for southbound, a traditional highway exchange. This is important because all of the intercepts captured from the objecting location, which indicated I-75 as a starting and or ending point, will never pass by the proposed location. For those heading to I-75 to go north or south, they will travel here. If they're heading south, they'll never pass under I-75, take the ramp and go on, never passing the proposed location, or come to here and turn and go up onto I-75 north, again never passing even within sight of the proposed location. Similarly, those exiting coming from I-75, if they were southbound, they will get off this exit ramp and come to the objecting location, or if they are northbound, they will come off here at the stop point at the end of the exit ramp, then turn left and go there. In all 4 instances, they will never pass by the proposed location, which is approximately 1/4 of a mile east of the interchange at the next stoplight and in a gas station where it is not readily visible from the highway. We point this out because of the 162 intercepts over the 3 surveys, 14 of those were to or from I-75. Of those 14, only 2 were round trips, which conceivably a round trip could come off and find it easier to go to the proposed location and back on. But it's our opinion that all those others will not utilize the proposed location simply because it becomes less convenient than using the objecting location. And those 12 make up almost 4.5% of the total number of intercepts captured, so a significant effect on whether or not there would be a assumed impact on the objecting location. I now have on the screen the intercept plots for the weekend lunch, which was our largest single group of intercepts, which consisted of 69 customer surveys for a total of 138 intercept plots. As you can see, there are no round trips whatsoever in the proposed area. There are a total of 6 coming from here, which is this 33, 34, and the number 21 is a group of 4, which appeared to be a group traveling together but were under 4 separate intercepts. There's one group going to, which is 2 cars, and there is up here going to and from I-75 a total of 3 going to. Totaling these together, you get a total effect during the weekend lunch of 8%. If you accept our premise that those going to and from I-75 do not truly belong in the trade area, that amount drops down to 5.8%. I've now brought up our weekday dinner intercept map. As you can see, there's also very few here, although we only obtained 23 surveys for a total of 46 intercept points for this survey. There was one round trip which went to and from University in Lakewood, one going to, and then a total of 3 to and from I-75. With only 23 intercepts and counting the round trip as both a going to and a coming from, you end up with a 13% within the circle. However, if you accept our premise that I-75 is not truly in the trade area, that number drops down to 6.5% effect on from the proposed location. At this point, if you were to combine the weekday dinner and the weekend lunch total intercepts within the trade area as we define it, divided by the total number of intercepts plotted, the percentage within that market area for the proposed location would be slightly less than 6%. Finally, I've called up the intercept map for the weekday lunch, which had a total of 63 surveys for a total of 126 intercept points plotted. This one by far showed the most number of intercepts within the circle, but as you can see, they're concentrated on 2 locations. One is the corner of University Parkway and Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, which honestly is probably a generic for anybody coming from Lakewood Ranch, but as that is even east of the proposed location, there's no reason not to consider that part of the proposed location's trade market area. The second group is all those exiting, entering, or round trips from I-75, as you can see, and the numbers are broken up differently because not all of them had both the same coming from and going to location. The result is about a 27.5% of the total intercepts are within this circle. But of those, a great number of them, 2 round trips, 4 coming froms, 2 going to, are on I-75. And again, our premise is that other than the 2 round trips, which arguably could be within the trade area, these should be excluded as they would never pass by the proposed location. If you deduct these but not the round trip, now the intercept percentage for the weekday lunch drops down to a little less than 20%, which is still a significant amount. As this number was such a significant amount and contrary to our expectations, we drilled down further to see what was causing this number of intercepts. And what we determined was it can almost entirely be attributed to one entry, which were 11 weekday round trips from Lakewood Ranch Boulevard to the objecting location and back. Those alone accounted for 17.5% of the 19.8% of the intercepts within the proposed location's circle for the weekday lunch. So we examined those a little further, and what we determined was this is made up of what appears to have been 5 carloads of people who traveled to and from Lakewood Ranch to the objecting location and back. I've summarized all of our intercepts with both I-75, Lakewood Ranch, and totals for our round trips coming from and going to, and what you'll see is ultimately, if you counted all of the I-75 intercepts and everything else, you get a 16.8% of the intercepts were within the circle for the proposed location. 11.6 of them were from the Lakewood Ranch area, 5.2% of them were from I-75. In our opinion, looking at the raw data, this 11.6 is a more accurate number to consider of potentially customers who will potentially go to the proposed location instead of the objecting location. I say potentially because we believe there are a couple of overriding factors which will lead to the presumption that those who make up a significant portion of this 11.6% will stop going to the objecting location regardless of whether or not the proposed location is open as a subway. If you'll accept for a second my hypothesis that several of them will no longer be going to the objecting location regardless of whether the new location is open, here's a couple of quick numbers to summarize. The gross percentage of intercepts within the proposed location's market area circle is 16.8%. Simply removing the 5 round-trip cars during that weekday lunch, you drop that percentage down to 9.3% just by reducing those 5 cars out of 160 or so intercepts. Alternatively, if you were to leave them in but take out all of the non-round trip I-75 traffic, which we have shown would never go by the proposed location, you're down to 11.7%. So somewhere in here we would suggest is the proper number for the potential impact on the objecting location if everything remains the same. However, everything will not remain the same. We believe the status quo will not be maintained by the time the proposed location opens, and in fact will get much, much worse. This intersection of I-75 and University is already considered to be one of the busiest interchanges in the state of Florida. With Benderson having 1.5 million square feet of retail here, nearly every major competitor of ours in this area, it's already a bit of a traffic issue. Now they're adding the University Town Center Mall, plus an international rowing center and other outparcels that will come with the mall, which will generate substantially further traffic. It's already been the subject of a number of exposés and articles in the paper, and by example, here's one from the Sarasota area entitled Issues to Watch in 2014, Traffic at the Mall at University Town Center. You can certainly read through. You've got the local people saying it's going to be great for business. You've got the Benderson people saying it's going to be great for business. But if you come down here, what you will find right in this section here, the FDOT, Florida Department of Transportation spokesperson Robin Schuman, tells them basically that the interchange will fail if the counties do not make improvements to the intersection and the west on the University Parkway and Market Streets. The interchange on its own cannot manage the traffic generated from unlimited development. Without improvements to this intersection on local roads, the new interchanges will fail. But they have not earmarked any money for improving it until after 2021. The result is going to be this, and I believe you've heard from Mike LaSalle, the president of the development agent company who lives just down this road, that this is already known to be avoided by the locals. By adding this additional traffic, what happens is the intersection lights here, here, and here become backups where it may take 2, 3, 4 cycles of lights to get through. If somebody is over on Lakewood Ranch and has to travel through all these sets of lights to get to the opposing location and then back again, it could easily be a 45-minute to 1-hour trip for just a couple of miles. Now, would they utilize the proposed location? Certainly if it was available, but whether it's a Subway or a Jimmy John's or a Jersey Mike's or something else, they are much more likely to utilize this once this traffic becomes even worse with the mall opening. For that reason, we believe there's a superseding factor that will cause, that will be the basis for any drop that may happen to the objecting location. It will be this mall opening and causing even greater gridlock in this area. However, we actually believe that the objecting location will not see a drop in its sales, and in fact will likely see an increase in sales because the additional traffic brought by this, plus all the adjacent facilities that are there, make this west side of I-75 a destination, and there will be those who will be heading out from there going back towards Sarasota on the side of the road that the objecting store is, who want to get away from the main congestion by getting a couple blocks to the west where they can come in off of this entrance right here, hit our Subway store, which is in the front, and come back out, we think that any potential customers who actually would have gone to Subway without the proposed location will more than be offset by those added coming through here. For that reason, we're asking the committee to approve this proposed location and allow us to proceed. Thank you very much.